Hello. Okay, so the plan is I'm just gonna go over the most recent tournament, go over all of the matches I played, my thoughts, what was my preparation, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's gonna be interesting to anyone, but I guess I'm just gonna test it out and maybe I'll do another one of these in the future. Maybe I'll also analyze other people's matches. I don't know. Well, anyways, the tournament format for anyone that isn't aware, was that basically you pick your ship and you can't see what your opponent is picking, and you get to ban one weapon type. So, um, I would say I have a pretty big advantage due to the tournament format because I have a very big ship collection, so it's very hard to counterpick me, and it's pretty easy for me to counterpick other people if they only play a few ship types, especially since I can narrow their option even further by banning like their main weapon or something like that. Um, yeah, what you can see right there is probably the main ships I was planning to bring to the tournament. Um, First off, we have two different TB rail ships. One is just more firepower focused, the other is more defense and utility focused with those side nukes. And for railguns, we also have this asymmetrical spinner squib combo, which is extremely strong. I mean, in my opinion, probably the strongest chip in the meta right now. I'm not completely sure, but it's extremely strong in any case. Then I have my Alpha chain gun ship, a pretty standard flag wall, and I also possibly planned to use a swarm. I'm not really comfortable with that choice because it's very hard to pilot, and if I mess up, I just lose. But it's just such a strong choice against opponents that don't really have back protection and have some slower ships and stuff like that. It can absolutely hard counter some ships your opponent picks. So yeah, those were the main ships I wanted to use in the tournament. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not very smart to reveal all of my strategies to players, but I mean, I already won two tournaments, so maybe it's gonna be harder in the future. Okay, so I going into the tournament, I thought for sure that most people are just going to ban my railguns every time because my tractor beam railgun ship and the railgun spinner trap are probably just my two strongest ships, and the other ones are pretty strong too, but I would say those are extremely consistent and extremely strong, so I expected railguns to get banned a lot. Um, yeah, and I'm also gonna talk about some of the ships I could possibly bring to a tournament and talk about what I think about them. First off, this deck cannon spinner. I actually brought this to a previous tournament. It's obviously really tanky and it punishes opponents that use a lot of ammo-based ships that don't really have enough ammo. Like you can really punish your opponent for being a bit lose with their ammo, with the ammo storage they put on their ship. And yeah, but it's kind of risky to to use this ship, because if your opponent uses something with a bit more sustainability, you'll just slowly get killed. Maybe you can survive long enough and win a rod game, but yeah, it's definitely a boring ship to use. But sometimes this just straight up hard counters someone. Like for example, if I know an opponent only plays swarms, well, those swarms just don't have the firepower to get through in time. Yeah, but we didn't really have a player that exclusively plays swarms in the tournament, so yeah. Yeah, then I also have my standard Morbiter. I mean, I always can use this. It's definitely not a weak option. I just have so many options that are just stronger in many situations. So it's kind of exclusion principle, but it's definitely a strong choice. Um, but I'm not really a big fan of locking Morbiters in tournaments because they are so risky to use. Like, maybe I make a wrong button input and I accidentally break the lock, that's bad. And or maybe during the fight I get the shield bug and I just get my back just gets disconnected. It's just such a risky ship to use, and I really wanted. You really want to minimize risk when playing in a tournament, so I don't really like to bring this one. And the shipbuilding isn't really the best, I would say, with this one. I didn't look that much into it, so it's also not the best ship. Yeah. Yeah, ultralight nuke. This is actually one of my favorite ships to fly, if not the favorite ship of mine. But like, if you have an opponent that's really laggy and you have a lot of input delay, it's just absolutely miserable to play this. Like, you try to fling your nukes, but your nukes only start like half a second after you press the button. That causes all of them to miss. And that's a really big deal because you have limited ammo, and every time you engage you engage your opponent, there's just this risk that you just get stuck in a ram and lose. So it's just a very risky ship to use, and that's why I don't like to bring it in tournaments. Yeah, with avoiders, it's the thing, they are pretty easy to counter. Like, there are a lot of ships that just straight up counter them. So, yeah, and it's also, if you make a single mistake, even against something you should win against normally, you just lose. If you like lose one of those thruster sections, you most of the time you're just dead. So I don't really like to bring those fragile kind of ships into tournaments. Yeah, Ion Rammer, it's a very solid choice actually, but there are just things that straight up counter them, like TB rails or the spinner trap, for example. So a solid choice. It is definitely usable in tournaments, but I don't prefer it. And there's also a cannon wall, also definitely a strong choice, but in most scenarios it's just straight up worse than the flag wall, so there's not a big reason to use it really. And there are also rail traps, also extremely powerful. Another reason to ban those rail ships, because there are lot of powerful rail ships you can use. And yeah, the problem with them, again, they are kind of risky to use, especially my traps are extremely fragile, and if you make a single mistake, one of your traps just dies, and if you only have one trap left, you have basically lost. So I've used it in the in tournaments in the past, kind of semi-successfully, I guess. Um, so you can definitely do it, but I don't know. I just had safer options for this tournament, so I didn't really want to use them. And I also didn't have that surprise factor I had in the past, because people know that I have been using them in the past, and yeah. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna go to the first matchup. I played against Shevchenko, was the first opponent I had, and it's definitely a new player. They had played for like a month or something like that. I don't really know, like 1 to 2 months probably. But they are already extremely strong. Like it's kind of crazy how fast they improved. So I actually had a lot of respect for them and was more scared of them than many of the other players in the tournament, especially because they have a pretty strong lineup. Um, I'm not using their ships right there. I'm using my own ships to show the lineup my opponents were bringing, just because I'm too lazy to ask for all of the ships. So I'm just using my own. Basically, the most notable ships they have, they main just pretty standard cannon wall that can split, and they can fly it extremely well. They have this nuke orbiter flag hybrid. I mean, I have this ship right there, but mine is pretty bad. Normally, you would remove these thrusters in the middle, and you'd instead add some electro bolts, maybe a bit more flag, um, or more nukes or some stuff like that. So my build is definitely not good, but I knew that they were playing this kind of ship a lot. And I also knew that they have a TB rail, the most recent ship they made, and they actually have a version with a horn. So that makes it even harder to ram lock this. Okay, I guess we'll just look at the game. Before that, I did end up banning. What did I ban? Yeah, I banned cannons because my thought process was if they ban rails, I'm just gonna use my chain gun ship, and if they ban chain guns, I'm just gonna use one of my railgun ships. Yeah, probably a TB rail. I don't know. They ended up banning my rails, so I used the chain gun ship. Yeah, so because I thought I can definitely beat this thing with a TB rail, and we have played a few mirror matches, and I always won because they are not as experienced with the TB rail yet. So I thought I can definitely win a mirror match, and yeah, and if I get the alpha chain gun, this thing is pretty much the only problem because it can split and it can kind of flank me, which is extremely scary. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, let's see the game. Okay, hey, Klaus from the future of the future here. You're gonna also see Klaus from the future later. He's gone absolutely fucking insane, but not me. Okay, so I'm gonna be casting the next three matches, or rather analyzing them, and Klaus from the future will analyze the last three matches. So yeah, whatever. Um, yeah, I was aware that Chef uses a lot of walls and such, so I banned their cannons and I used my chain gunship, and I basically just hoped that they do not have a non-cannon wall, because the that would be a pretty bad situation. They could just split their wall apart, flank my chain gun ship, and like flee with their ships once I activate my boost. So not a good situation. And I joined the game, and yeah, I was actually I really thought the game is already over. Chef brought flag wall that can separate into three separate ships, and I thought like they can just flank me, and once I activate the boost, they fly away, and there's nothing I can really do there. I will just run out of boost, and after that they'll just be able to easily flank and kill me. So yeah, my strategy was, I don't know, I didn't really have a strategy. I just went in and hoped for the best. So I activated my boost there and just killed the ship, and San didn't properly control their ships, not able to flank, not really able to escape either, and I'm just killing their ships one by one, and they can't really do anything about it. And yeah, that was really surprising to me, honestly. I thought I was definitely going to lose this, but yeah, interesting match. So next up, I was either fighting X-No and or Antithesis, and I really didn't want to face X-No because they are a very unpredictable player. They have all kinds of crazy builds. They, for example, they have like a missile orbiter with mines and a squib. Like they have the ability to build really weird ships that kind of work. So um, it's risky fighting them, but I was kind of lucky, and unfortunately for X-No, they lost to Antithesis. So I faced Antithesis, and yeah, their lineup is pretty much just an avoider. Um, so you would think that I would probably ban something like electro bolts or mines or something like that, but I ended up banning nukes. And the casters had had this theory that I knew more than them or something like that, but actually I just banned nukes because X-No banned nukes in the game before that. Because I knew X-No and Antithesis are pretty close. Maybe they did their preparations together or something. And maybe X-No knew they were using some kind of secret nuke ship or something like that. Like, for example, maybe Antithesis uh, had like something like this heavy nuke avoider. And if I pick the TB rail against that, that would actually be kind of bad for me. So that's why I ended up banning nukes as well. It turns out later in the tournament somebody banned mines and not nukes, and they just used an avoider that used nukes instead of mines. So I don't know. It's likely that they just didn't have anything else and I banned nukes for nothing. But it didn't really matter. So against this, again, I can just... the strategy is... well, if they ban chain guns, I'm just gonna use a railgun ship, and if they ban railguns, I'm just gonna use the chain gun ship, and I'm just absolutely ruining them with that. And indeed, they ended up banning the chain guns, so I just used my high DPS TB rail ship. The good thing with this is I don't have to flip them. This ship just has enough firepower to power through the shields. Okay, for my matchup against Antithesis, I pretty much knew that they were going to bring an Avoider, and what I did here, I banned their nukes. And yeah, that's a pretty strange choice since they play Avoider, so it probably would be more sensible to ban mines or electro bolts or something like that. But I knew that in the match before, X-No actually banned Antithesis' nukes. So that's why I thought, well, maybe they have some super secret nuke ship that they are going to bring. So I just wanted to be safe and basically force them into picking an Avoider so that I myself can do some kind of counter pick. Yeah. And that's basically what I did. Well, later in the tournament, someone banned something other than nukes. They banned mines, and it turns out Antithesis didn't really have anything else. They just brought an Avoider with nukes instead of mines, which is pretty funny. But yeah. I just brought my unshielded rail fan. That's just a hard counter to pretty much any avoider. And Antithesis actually did not bring an avoider, but a laser kite. I was pretty surprised by that. But honestly, it doesn't really make any difference for me. The matchups against this Blaster Cruiser are actually very similar to Avoiders, so I also hard countered that ship. Yeah. My strategy is just going through the front. I have enough DPS for that. I'll just directly shoot at one of the reactors until I get through. And that's what I do there. I target that reactor, and on the second volley I'm going to get through. Additionally, Antithesis also has to deal with the asteroids there, making it extra hard to somehow spread damage, and yeah, that's it. I got one of their modules. Now I can even flip them, get their back, and it's completely over for them. They basically had no chance of winning this at all. Well, and next up I was fighting Blaze, and Blaze is kind of similar to me. Like, they have a ton of different ships and all of them are very scary to face. Like, they have this ultralight missile orbiter, but Blaze actually knows how to how to pilot it. They also have the two scary railgun ships. They have a cannon wall. I mean, it's not a flag wall, but it's the next best thing. It's still very strong. I think they do have a flag wall. It's just a weird variant with tractor beams. That's just worse than a normal flag wall. Yeah. And they have many other ships. Like, they have a really big collection. I just put some of the more relevant ships here. And Blaze actually has a ship that I don't have. I'm using... he actually posted that, so I'm using this ship. It's the Stack Cannon Nuke Stick combo. And Blaze can pilot this extremely well. The idea is he disables the ship with nukes, he just deletes half of the ship or more than half of the ship and then finishes the ship off with this brutally simple but efficient deck cannon rammer design. So pretty scary lineup. So yeah, basically I did what I also recommend other players do when fighting me. I just banned the railguns because these two ships, these two ships are probably the scariest ships in the lineup, and yeah. And I was really surprised that they actually did not ban my railguns. What they did is Blaze banned my cannons. So I asked him later, and he indeed did not want to deal with my cannon swarm because he intended to pick this ship right there, and it just dies to the cannon swarm. Yeah. I in his position would have definitely just banned all of the rail ships, because the rail spinner probably has a favorable matchup against this all the time. I'm pretty sure I should win, but yeah, we'll just look at the match. Okay, now for the last matchup, Klaus from the future of the future is casting. I was up against Blaze, and in this matchup, I actually straight up cheated. Yeah, so Blaze banned my large cannons. I just banned their rails because rail is pretty much the scariest weapon right now, in my opinion, because of the spinner and the TB rail and the rail flankers and the rail kite and yeah, all of those rail ships basically. And Blaze banned my swarm because apparently they wanted to actually pick their nuke stick deck cannon combo, and they really did not want to run into some kind of cannon swarm. And in my mind, my spinner is just a railgun ship, right? It's like a railgun spinner, and I just completely forgot that my little squib just has large cannons, so I picked my spinner trap. Because yeah, it's pretty much one of the most powerful ships one could use, but yeah, I just forgot that I have large cannons on my on my little squib thing, and Blaze didn't notice it, Slowking didn't notice it, I didn't notice it. It's a pretty crazy situation, honestly, and I'm very sorry that that happened. And yeah, so yeah, I guess you could say that my win is actually cheated. Well, anyways, let's just analyze this matchup right there. I have the spinner squib combo, Blaze brought the nuke stick deck cannon rammer combo, and I was really, really happy to see this. The nuke stick is gonna have a really rough time one-shotting my spinner, and I'm gonna have a really easy time disabling that deck cannon ship. And if I disable the deck cannon ship, I basically already won, because the nuke stick is gonna have a really rough time winning on its own. And yeah, Blaze chooses to completely focus on the nuke stick, just ramming the deck cannon rammer in, and then also getting stuck. But launches all of the nukes in time, and they deal pretty painful damage to my spinner. But it doesn't really matter, since half of my spinner survives, my squib is also still alive. At this point, my spinner my little squib didn't actually have any fire extinguishers, and it was on fire. That was kind of scary, honestly. But yeah, I did get the win. My spinner easily survived that. Yeah, I basically countered the ship again, and yeah. I guess sorry plays for cheating. Okay. Yeah, definitely was a bold decision for Blaze to bring such a, I would say, maybe even a gimmicky ship to the tournament. Because if you can't take out if the nukes don't really land, like you just lose. Okay, next up I was facing Nightlord. Yeah, again, some of the wait, what? No, I didn't prepare the Nightlord lineup. Whoops. Let's quickly do that. I knew Nightlord had like a missile orbiter they used earlier. They have this. They also play this flag nuke hybrid. So a ship similar to this. I also knew they had some kind of weird flag wall. They definitely have a lot of ultralight ships. Also a TB rail, of course. Like they recently made like this TB rail with side nukes, so something similar to this, just less firepower and a little bit more thrust, I think. Maybe. Yeah, so they have basically they have a missile orbiter and a lot of different ultralight ships. So naturally, I guess I can use either the chain gun ship that's gonna destroy most ultralight ships. I can also use the high DPS TB rail, and I could also use the flag wall. That's all of those ships are pretty good against the lineup. Okay, Klaus from the future here. Slowly losing my sanity because this is like I lost count. Like this is the fourth time I have to re-record this because I don't know, my recording software doesn't cooperate with me at all. Like I mean, I'm not even angry anymore. I've just completely gone insane, honestly. But anyways, since I've already analyzed this fight like 5 times already, I can give you a perfect and completely flawless analysis. What the hell? Um, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave this in the video.
Okay, we're live now. It's He's going to be auto-firing those then.
Oh, does it still record? Rumor has it that it indeed does record. Well, okay. Yeah. I expected Nightlord to bring some kind of ultralight chip. That's why I went with the flag wall, because flag walls just shred through ultralight chips. And yes, Nightlord did indeed bring an ultralight chip. In this case, a missile kite. I was pretty surprised to see this, because I did see Nightlord using that specific ship one time before, but I didn't think they would actually bring it to the tournament. Because it only has 2 missile modules, and those are not gonna be able to pressure me or punish any mistakes or something like that. So yeah, basically the only way I'm losing this match is by flying into some mines. And yeah, I'm just doing the standard strategy against kites, which is just waiting for the rod to close in and simply not engaging the kite at all. And yeah, so I'm just flying around the close to the ring of death. And I'm also sometimes turning around and flying towards Night Lord, which basically forces them to show me the front side and fly into the opposite direction again. Okay, something which is also pretty unfortunate for me is the red background, because mines are pretty hard to see and mines are also red. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I'm flying towards Night Lord, but I do not plan on actually engaging. I'm just warding away, basically.
We'll just leave it running then.
Okay. Yeah, something you can also see right there is that my flag is not shooting down the missiles. That's on purpose. I set the flag to attack mode only, and that's basically just meant to preserve ammo, obviously.
Why am I not listening?
And I thought, well, my shields can easily tank those 2 missile modules, so why should I actually let my flag work? There are a few gaps in my shields where missiles can get through and deal a little bit of damage, but I thought I'd rather take a bit of chip damage than risk actually having no ammo at the end of the fight. Um, yeah, I mean, it is extremely unlikely that I would have actually run out of ammo in that scenario, but I thought, well, I'm just gonna play this as safe as possible, and getting that chip damage is not gonna lose me the game, but losing all of my ammo can actually lose me the game. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it safe.
Should literally just fly into mines and just go with it.
Okay, something that's pretty funny is that Night Lord forgot to detach their crew.
Yep.
So that way, one of the missile modules only has like half of its missiles actually working, or maybe just even just one launcher. I did not realize this during the game. I just thought the missiles were just, I don't know, hitting the sides because Nightlord was rotating too fast or something. I only saw this later, and I thought this was pretty funny. So Nightlord's DPS was even lower than it already is, almost losing half of the firepower of the ship.
Really, really an unfortunate background.
Okay, yeah, I'm still flying around the rod and um
I got a kitten.
yeah, just tanking those missiles and
True.
yeah, it happens right there. I'm actually missing some of the mines and flying into them. Yeah, that was probably the biggest mistake I made all match.
Gonna attack us.
I even lost a single flag, which isn't bad at all, but kind of annoying. And yeah, I was lucky that I realized that I'm actually flying into mines, um, but I could not slow down fast enough to avoid all of the damage.
Still on the back of clouds.
And yeah, I mean that's the danger of the matchup. If you just miss those mines and fly straight through one of those minefields, you can actually just lose the game.
Oh, I really want to.
So, what I'm doing right now is I'm switching strategy. The Ring of Death has already closed in a lot, and it's getting pretty hard for me to actually avoid Night Lord. So, what I'm doing is I'm going to the center, and basically, I'm just preventing Night Lord from getting to the center themselves because what I thought is,
No.
well, theoretically, if the timer goes down,
Still ordering.
Night Lord could go to the center, just place mines there, maybe a minefield,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just ward me away from the center. So I thought, well, I'll go to the center first then and make it impossible for Night Lord to get very close.
He could just do that.
And yeah, that's what I did. Okay.
I feel like Cloud's
Also, maybe you saw it. There were those three missiles that hit me in the back and got one of my thrusters, and the casters were losing their minds. Finally, something was happening again. But that was actually on purpose. Like,
but
I didn't want to do any evasive maneuvers because I could have possibly flown into more of those mines, and I was completely fine with losing one thruster for to not have to run the risk of flying into some more mines. And yeah, taking a bit of chip damage from behind, even if I'm losing thrusters, was completely fine, and I was okay with doing that if that meant I don't have to fly around and avoid some mines.
I feel as if Klaus could get really aggressive right now with no repercussions.
Yeah, and you can really see that the road is closing in now. It's getting harder and harder for Nightlord to do anything. There, Nightlord actually managed to place some mines right in front of me,
Yep.
which was good.
Yeah.
I had to do this turning maneuver, like
And then you can
turning
go in.
my side that still has shields into those mines. Yeah. What I'm doing there is I'm slowly disarming those mines, flying into them very slowly, and just letting my large shields tank all of the damage.
Yeah, the
And
upgrade
if I'm flying this slowly, like I'm almost standing still, those mines are not gonna deal any damage to me. Like less than half of those shrapnel are gonna hit me, and my large shields can easily tank those.
face towards Night Lord as well.
Um,
Uh oh. Yep. These mines are placed everywhere.
yeah, okay, what I'm doing there, I'm doing a fairly risky attack, but I knew those mines are not gonna be able to insta-arm. You even saw it, that Night Lord tried to shoot some mines on me, but they were not able to arm in time, because I knew Night Lord still had a lot of rotational momentum, which
Klaus
uh,
the moment
basically prevented those mines from insta-arming.
completely loses.
But I think the casters commented on it that I could have engaged Night Lord there, kept the ram, and end the game then and there. And
Okay, but keep in mind.
I think that would have been extremely risky because if Night Lord changes their speed vector,
Need more
they
mines.
could very easily get into a position where those mines actually do insta-arm, and that's just very dangerous for me. I definitely did not want to risk that.
Yeah, I see.
So, yeah, I just stayed in the center and
One
did
lord
not give Night Lord any hopes.
to destabilize
I
and
I
basically
did not allow them to utilize their minds properly, and yeah.
so
Also, due to the rod damage and the chip damage from the flag, they lost their
need
missiles.
more suppression.
Their nukes ran out, even though they have mine factories. I mean, their mines ran out, not their nukes. They don't have any nukes. And yeah, so they don't have any weapons left, and as before, I can just
Very smart.
camp the center, prevent them from going there, and they have to stay very far out, and they will just
Takes mid
get eaten by the rod much quicker than I will. And yeah, that was my win condition from the very beginning, just keeping them away from the center,
mines to use.
um, not following them, but
Very
just
smart. Okay.
threatening them with my flag guns, and that's it. They lost that matchup.
Okay. This time.
Okay, for the next matchup, we both banned the same stuff, I think. Night Lord, very smart, banned my railguns again, and I banned Night Lord's electro bolters because Night Lord has a lot of ships with those. So I really didn't want to do the same matchup again because it was honestly very exhausting, and but then I thought, well, it probably also was very exhausting for Night Lord, so I don't know, they're probably not going to pick the same ship again. So, well, I basically just banked on Night Lord not using the missile kite again and used the flag wall again. And even if they did use the missile kite, I can
Very same.
get basically a guaranteed win with the strategy I just used last game. It's just gonna be very tedious, but I was willing to go through that again.
I see.
Everything for a tournament one.
Center airport.
Okay, so I picked the flag wall again, and Night Lord brought a missile orbiter, and yeah, that's the dream scenario for me. My flag is gonna be able to shoot down all of those missiles. The flag is gonna completely destroy Night Lord's sides. That's just gonna be an easy victory for me.
Yep. All flags
Um,
city
yeah,
represented. Awesome.
I just got to the side,
You know what?
shot at it a lot. Um, and there really is nothing like Night Lord can do there. I get that missile module, but I choose to disengage there because I got a slightly awkward angle, and I thought, well, with the thruster ramp up and such, I could maybe just go to the other side very quickly, and then, yeah.
I think he was more
But then I bonk Night Lord, and then I bonk Night Lord again. I guess that's a mixture of bad piloting and the structure cage and generally how wide the ship is. I did some pretty unfortunate bonks there, but there still is no way that Night Lord can win this. And
so.
then I actually get to Night Lord's back, and
Yeah. Just
no, it's completely over. I just get the control rooms, and
okay.
yeah. Night Lord also realizes that and forfeits the match.
Klaus.
Okay, basically that put me into the finale, and I just had to wait for the losers bracket to wrap up. Um, yeah, who was I most scared of? Probably Blaze, like the one I faced before, because of their arsenal and their piloting skill. Honestly, in my opinion, probably the best player right now, so I was most scared of him. Um, but luckily for me, I guess, he lost against Game Night. So Game Night would be the one I'm facing next. And I knew Game Night had this tractor beam ion ship, and I also knew that they have this tractor beam railgun ship, but a slower, a faster version, but with a lot less firepower. So this ship basically requires you to flip your opponent. Um, my version has more thrust and less armor. It's probably just worse than Game Night's version. So yeah. And from the match they played against Blaze, I also knew that they are bringing a cannon wall. A cannon wall with small shields, that is. I don't have a wall with small shields, so I'm just use this. So yeah, I guess the strategy was as always. I'm just I'm just gonna use my TB rail or my spinner, and if they ban rails, I'm just gonna use my chain gun ship. And their ships are also pretty vulnerable to the swarm ships, except for the wall. So that's why I banned their cannons. So I banned their cannons, and if they ban my rails, I would also have the option to play a swarm, because it should win both against their TB ion and their TB rail. Theoretically, at least. I didn't really want to use the swarm because, because what I said in the beginning, I'm not that comfortable piloting it. Okay, now to the second thing I'm recording for like the fourth time, the matchup against Game Night. And well, Game Night did ban my Electro Bolters. I think they feared my Flag Wall probably, which is fair, I guess. But I honestly think that my rail ships are much stronger, my TP rail and my spinner trap. But alright. I banned their cannon wall because I thought if I play the cannon swarm or if I play the spinner trap, maybe Game Night can split the wall and can maybe pull off some miracle or something like that. So that's why I banned that. Yeah.
Yeah, Keanu does 130, but the
Well, in this case, they just have an ion rammer, and that just gets completely hard countered by my ship.
he does it in such a way where you
Yeah.
just close enough to
Um.
basically
Yeah. Now Game Night is stalling a bit. Maybe seeing if I'm actually able to use hotkeys to get closer to the middle.
yeah.
And yes, indeed, I'm able to fire those thrusters sequentially to move the spinner closer. Okay, now my spinner is starting to fire. It's actually dealing a lot of damage to that one side. Maybe one more volley could have even gotten through. But I retargeted the rails, and yeah, Game Night is attacking my spinner, but I'm flying at an angle where Game Night can't follow my little squib or he risks the punishment of the spinner. And yeah, that's indeed what happened. Had Game Knight attacked the spinner, I could have of course destroyed the Iron Rammer's back with my little squib. Nothing they could have done there really. Okay, we ban the same things again, and this time for variety's sake and to be a little bit less predictable, I'm just using my alpha chain gun build because, well, I thought it just hard counters all of their ships anyways. So, yeah, using that ship, I remembered to let all of my crew in, which is good. And yeah, Game Night brought their TB Ion, and I was really happy to see this matchup. You can see Game Night typing oof in the chat. They definitely were not happy about this matchup, and yeah, my thought process was, well, I'm just gonna boost in. Those TB won't be able to stop all of that boost, and it's gonna be over very quickly. Okay, so yeah, what I said, I'm boosting in, and then Game Night just targets the tip of my hook and manages to flip me, and now Game Night is starting to fly away, still targeting the tip of my hooks with the tractor beams, and Game Night has so much torque, I can't follow. There's too much force on the tip of my hook, and I'm just done for. Um, and now all of my boost has run out of energy, and now I'm just dead. I only have one row of thrusters left that can actually have energy, and that's nowhere near enough to resist all of those tractor beams. And GameNet just gets behind me and destroys me. That was extremely surprising for me and also the casters. But yeah, um, I guess that really shows why you should put explosive charges on your hooks to prevent stuff like that from happening. Um, and I'm actually not sure if I did something wrong in that scenario. Like, I, in my mind, I did pretty well, but yeah, Game Night just completely outplayed me there. Like, well done from them, and yeah, managed to push me away there. And that made me really scared of using the chain gun rammer again because it seemed kind of easy from Game Night's side. So yeah, I thought, well, I'm just gonna use the TB rail instead then, because that should absolutely counter the TB ion. And yeah, I used the TB rail, and Game Night indeed did bring the TB ion again. And well, now I really do hard counter them. Like, there is no trick Game Night can pull right there. Like, I have 8 tractor beams. There is no way they can get to my back, and my railguns can just go brute force straight through the front. Yeah. Game Night actually tries to make themselves a win condition, trying to push that rock into the middle so that when the rod moves in, they can hide behind the rock and maybe win a rod match. But that's not gonna happen. The asteroid is way too heavy, and I'm closing in quickly. Yeah.
Yep, you need to get up again.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now, I'm getting closer to the asteroid so that I have a shorter distance to travel when trying to follow Game Night. Yeah.
Pushing a rock is normally enough.
yeah, Game Night tries to get me from behind, maybe, then turns around,
Okay.
um, and now tries to engage me from that side while my back is turned. But yeah, it just doesn't work. And if I get a good flip right there, I could actually kill Game Night immediately, but it doesn't happen. I just deal some chip damage on the side. And you can see two of my rails skipped before, and they only shot later. That wasn't intentional. Okay, but Game Night tries to turn there and turns too late and now is stuck on the rock. And that's really, really bad for Game Night because my tractor beams can actually reach Game Night and pull him closer to the asteroid. Their thrusters are working against it, but my tractor beams are tight and GameNet cannot escape anymore. And I'm just getting to shoot that back. GameNet begged for mercy, but I did not grant it. And
Oh yes.
yeah, now they don't even have any weapons left. Yeah,
Translation difficult too.
that's just over now.
Cloud showing no mercy for game night.
Why would you show mercy
Yeah.
for it?
Then you can see the power of those railguns shooting through four full-powered large shields,
Like gaining bragging rights.
and Game Night forfeits. Well, that matchup went really well, so I thought, well, I'm just gonna use the TB rail again. And I rethought my ban strategy because GameNet is probably gonna ban Electro Bolters again and not the railguns. So I should abuse this and pick the TB rail, as I just said. And therefore, I don't need to ban their cannon wall because my TB rail can just one-shot one of those modules. Like GameNet's cannon wall does not have large shields. So yeah, I actually banned Game Night's TB rail. So I banned their railguns because I thought, well, maybe Game Night could get some flip and get me from the side and kill me.
Yeah, couldn't last minute.
Which did sometimes happen when we played, but most of the time I was able to just keep my front pointed at Game Night and kill them when we played matches outside of the tournament. But I did not want to take that risk, and I just banned their railguns and went with a TB rail on my own because Game Night indeed did not ban my rails.
Okay.
Okay, but Game Night actually did bring a railgun ship. Yeah, due to the tournament rules, they had to turn their railguns off, so they basically had a sumo ship. And yeah, this was the last match, so if I win this, I win the entire tournament. And
Rails were pretty
yeah, Game Night basically doesn't have any weapons, they can only
Game Night
sumo
has
me.
decided that it's not worth it
Uh,
anymore and is going to sumo flames.
yeah.
I guess they just
Um, then then there is some miscommunication. I said sumo, referring to the fact that GameNet ship is only a sumo ship now. But I actually and GameNet thought I was challenging him to a sumo duel, which was not the case.
No, I will shoot. LOL.
Had we actually fought a sumo duel,
Oh,
GameNet would have absolutely obliterated me because we both have 8 tractor beams, but GameNet has like more than double the thrust I have. So that would have been very bad for me. So I chose to do the dishonorable thing, just taking the free win and killing Game Night. So yeah, I took a few shots. Game Night couldn't do anything about it
in the tournament.
and won the tournament.
Congratulations for players for winning the tournament.
Okay, well, I can only be hopeful that it did record this time. And yeah, as I said in the beginning of the video, depending on if people actually want to watch this type of analysis video, especially made by me,
Please still watch.
I might make more of those in the future.
Thank you for watching.
Maybe even analyze submitted videos if people want to watch that. And yeah, I guess I hope you enjoyed the video and have a nice day.